well, welcome back to another wonderful and exciting edition of Veggie Mike Ellis on YouTube and Veggie Mike Ellis on Instagram, and mikesgarden.moonfruit.com is the website to talk about. Today, I want to talk to you about how vegans have a choice. We're choosing to be vegan. It's a choice to, a choice to be kind to animals, right? Or it's a choice to just we want to choose. It's a choice. Or it's a choice to eat animals and to not be vegan. It's just a choice, right? You just go to the store and you buy what you want. Eat what you want. Leave me out of it, though. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me about veganism, because it's a choice. It's your choice. Okay, so I want to talk about that, how it's a choice. Okay. So logistically speaking, sure, it is a choice. Legally, you can eat what you want, legally, right? So you can go to the store and buy what you want legally. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the moral argument about it. So it's a choice. Okay, so let's talk about that. So is it a choice for someone who is, say, against slavery to then participate in slavery in some way or support slavery? Is that a choice? Are you against slavery? Do you think would you then own a slave? Or are you against torture? Do you think torture is wrong? Is it your choice to not torture people? Do you think battering women, let's say, is wrong, right? Say if you're a man, let's say. I think, for example, I know for a fact, I think that hitting women at all in any way is wrong. If I beat my wife, would that be consistent with that? So would it be my choice then? Is it my choice not to beat my wife? Well, technically, I guess it is, but it's against my moral compass. It's not really a choice, is it? Right? Because I think it's wrong. So yeah, I guess technically I'm choosing not to, but I can't really bring myself to do something that I think is wrong. So is it a choice or is it a moral requirement, considering that I think it's wrong to abuse children, let's say, to be cruel to children? I think that's wrong. Do I choose not to be cruel to children, really? Am I really choosing that? I can't bring myself to be cruel to children, right? Isn't it then a moral requirement that I don't be cruel to children if I think being cruel to children is wrong? Okay? So, comes down to the same question. I've said this before in some of my other videos. Do animals have moral value? Do you find that animals have moral value to you? Do you answer yes to that question? And it's yes or no. It's not sometimes, a little moral value, some. It's yes or no. And it's all or nothing too. So if you have cat or dog and they have moral value, then they all have moral value. You don't get to say, oh, this species has moral value and this one doesn't. That's speciesism. That's discrimination. It's all or nothing. It's one or the other. So if your answer to the question is yes, animals have moral value, then there's only really one rational response to that. It's veganism. It's saying, okay, if animals have moral value, I will not use them as a commodity, as a thing, as a resource to be used for clothing, for food, for entertainment, for experiments. I mean, it's unnecessary in all these cases. It's been shown with the experiments part, by the way, that it's, especially, I mean, you're talking about these ridiculous cosmetic companies that put lipstick on rabbits. I mean, it's insane. Like, it's not necessary. So it's yes or no. It really comes down to, do you answer yes to that question? Do animals have moral value? If your answer is yes, it's not your choice to be vegan. It's a moral requirement to be vegan. It's your bare bones minimum response. Just like if I say beating my wife is wrong, it's a bare bones minimum moral response to not beat her, right? It's not my choice, like, oh, I just choose not to. Oh, I want to be a better person, and it's a choice, and I could beat her or I could not beat her. I guess logistically speaking, yeah, And you could say, oh, well, eating animals is legal, but technically abusing your spouse is not legal. You could say that. Slavery was legal for a while, Everybody was doing it. It was their choice. You could choose to have slaves. You could choose that. It was your choice to have slaves, logistically speaking. But if you're against slavery, is it really your choice? Is it really a choice? It's a bare bones minimum, the least you can do. It's not some extremist thing to be vegan. I know that people see it that way, and coming at it, I used to see it that way. I used to think vegans were crazy. We're actually from the future. It's actually vegan or die. I'm going to do a whole separate video about that. We won't survive. We won't make it. We won't make it. We can't sustain it. We can't do this anymore. We can't sustain this. It's not a choice. It's your moral requirement. If you think animals have moral value, or if you just want the human race to survive in the future, yeah, it's not sustainable. You could say I'm crazy and some conspiracy theory, some vegan conspiracy theory. It's not. It's a logistical fact. We can't feed everybody, and we can't keep doing it to the earth either. It's destroying the earth. It's destroying our bodies. It's horrible for human health. We're not meant to eat them. Whole other video there too. It's a bare bones minimum response to that question, though. That's what it comes down to. This video is about. It's a bare bones minimum question, answer, response to: do animals have moral value? If they do, and you say yes to that question, and they're not to be just used as a thing, to be owned, to be used like a commodity, as a thing, to be traded, like people were when they were slaves. They were things. When we had slavery, legally, people were things. They were things to be traded. Families were separated from each other. They were things. They were whipped. They were things. And you can say, well, some slave owners were good to their slaves. Yeah, well, when you own something, you can make that choice. And we can make that choice about animals. Choice. Back to that. It's not a choice. Veganism is not a choice. It's a moral requirement. It's a moral requirement. If you say yes to that question, by the way, if you think that animals don't have moral value, and they're just something to be used, you might want to get checked out because you might be a sociopath. You have no compassion or you have no empathy for an innocent being, okay, that needs our protection, like a child, like an innocent little being that looks to us, that relies on us to be good to them and treat them well. They feel pain, they suffer. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be? What are you going to do? Because if you're a moral, decent person, your response to that question, do animals have moral value, is yes. And then the only rational response to the answering that question, yes, is vegan. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? If you understand these things, you just go vegan. That's how it works. If you really get it. I mean, you look at your cat or dog and go, ooh, lunch. Do you do that? No. It's horrifying to eat a cat or dog, isn't it? Yeah. Use that same logic with the other animals. It's the same thing. There's absolutely no difference. None. Go vegan. Thanks for watching.